Hello, good evening.
Good morning.
Hi, Nisha.
How are you?
Good, all good.
So, we have a spectacular bird photographer. I mean, a photographer, but he is so superb when it comes to birds specifically and birds in action. Harmeet,
Yes, we have seen his growth in last few years. Very huge growth in photography,
that's the
and
dedication,
yeah, it's
commitment.
probably we have seen his dedication, his commitment, his hard work, everything uh, resulted in a very good way. His photography has taken him to another level when it comes to birds in action. And we have met uh, and we have photographed together in Al Qudra, our favorite place in Dubai. So, and let's welcome Anoop.
Hi,
Hi,
dear.
Anoop.
Hi. Am I? Can you guys see me?
Yeah,
Yes.
we can see you. You are audible.
Yep.
Hey, thank you both, my gurus. The first photo walk that I've done ever in my life was with you two.
Yeah, I
And thank
remember
you for
that.
that. And yeah, the journey started from there in 2019,
Yes.
to be precise. So I began with an 80D and a Sigma 150-600. That was the first gear that I've acquired.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, like every other photographer here in Dubai, the first choice to photograph was in Al Qudra. So I
Yeah.
went ahead, so had my bid, watched what is happening around there. So a lot of photographers walking around with large bazookas, and like everyone, the first effort was for me to capture the sharp details or sharp portraits on the birds. That was what all it was available in UAE anyway. And very soon I figured out that capturing bird actions require it's quite challenging
Yeah.
on multiple levels. And yeah, I wanted always to push me a little further ahead, challenge myself and see whether I could deliver on it. I had reached out to several photographers, fellow photographers. Many of them helped, like you and Nisha, wherein several others had not supported. I mean, it's pretty usual
Yeah.
for the kind of landscape that we have. So then, at one point, I was all by myself to figure out what do I need, and then I figured out that okay, you need proper gear for capturing bird actions, that to the speed actions with
Yeah.
details. So I went further ahead when I challenged myself to capture details in action. So when a bird is flying or doing an action, the light is not controlled, nothing is in our control, so you got to be really quick in changing the settings, the parameters, adjusting, observing the bird behavior, and blah blah blah, a lot of things on the field. So the work behind the lens or the camera was giving me sort of a relief or a calmness in my mind. So that has been my single focus in wildlife photography all this while. Many a times my friends had been pushing me to go to Masai Mara, and I was telling them, wait, we would go a little later, because the mammals photography had not really had not come into my blood yet. So very soon I will be visiting Mara. Of
Hmm.
course, it will be Mara trails.
Thank you.
Thank you. So let's
And
go to
going
the.
ahead,
Yeah.
yes. So I'll be walking you through a short introduction on myself, some early days. So I have classified the words into different categories. A lot of them are there. Uh, Hermes wanted me to stick with 30 images max, but I have over 120 images here. I had sent to him the presentation. He said, "Okay, you keep everything and you make sure that you quickly run through them. I'll try my bit because we only have 1 hour time. And in case you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask, because I haven't kept any kind of technical aspects in this presentation at all. It's just pictures. I will walk you through the pictures that I've taken, my journey, and any specifics on your the techniques that I've used, or the gears, or the approaches. If you have any questions, please keep it for the question and answer session in the end.
Yeah, before you start, we have a few of our friends online: Venki, Ajit, Sibin, Sajin, and Venki is saying that about Masai Mara, you don't know what you're missing.
Yeah. Yes, Venki. Yes, I'll do. I mean, the predominant focus myself for me was to learn maximum here. Dubai, yes, opportunities are less to capture, but even the common birds, if you focus, there is a lot of things that you can learn by shooting them. So, yeah, I think 2 3 years I've been on the learning curve, and now I think I'm ready to explore the world. So I'll be
That's
traveling.
great.
Yes.
That's great.
The right approach.
Yeah.
So let's go. Wait, so
Yes.
that's me. Those who haven't seen me ever before, that's me with my bazooka. The current gears that I'm using is the Sony Alpha 1 and Sony 600 f4 lens. Yeah, predominantly a bird photographer. I also mentor the budding photographers, those who approach me,
Great.
predominantly focused on capturing bird actions.
Hmm.
I'm a brand ambassador for Leo Photo, and as well as Wild Roar, which is a photography based gears in India. All this, my photography, the gears, travels, everything is funded by my job at EPND Global as sales director. And these are my social media handles. Those who haven't followed me yet, please go and follow me there. So the early days. These are the images from the 80D and 150 600 lens that I had. Unfortunately, one of my email where I had backed up all my early days photographs had and somehow I missed access to it. So I missed a lot of photos. So
Okay.
anyway, going forward. So since I'm based in Dubai and predominantly we have a lot of water birds here, I thought I would walk you through the water birds.
Yeah.
This image in particular is very close to my heart because this got published in the Nat Geo magazine as in the Sony India's advertisement.
That's
Wow.
good.
So this particular bird had a dip in the water. I was lying flat on the ground, just waiting for it to come out. So, and then this happened.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Same location. This is a mangrove forest. I mean, the previous picture in this as well, I have captured from the same location, a mangrove forest. So early in the morning, you have only rays of light coming from some of those pockets. So this is how I got the bird completely highlighted, and the background is completely dark. The background, in fact, is pretty far from where the bird was.
Hmm.
This was shot in Bigwan in India, the pheasant tail jacana. It flew pretty straight to me. I was trying to have this, sorry, the violet background, the flowers in the background, the purple flowers in the background to align it so that it gives a little bit of an oomph. As you see, the light was coming from one end of the frame
Yeah.
from behind. This particular shot I shot in Al Qudra, basically the result of anticipation. So I and my friend Ajit were lying down on the ground trying to shoot little grub actions in the water, and then I noticed that these guys bathing in the water early in the morning, and I knew there will be a moment where they're gonna flutter the wings, and this is the beast mode in one
Yeah.
of those 30 frames that I've clicked in one burst.
Wow.
Uh, Pretty common bird in Al Qudra, Egyptian goose, landing approach in the water. Another duck, the northern pin-tailed duck, which is a migrant from, I guess, from North America to Dubai, landing in the water again, thanks to the f4 lens, the 600 f4 lens for the background.
Hmm.
This bird is no more in Al Qudra.
Oh,
This is a female wood duck introduced, clicked in 2020 during the COVID times. I was lying again flat on my belly, waiting for some actions. So she came in, gave us a nice bath, and then did this. Again, somewhere in the COVID times, we were lying flat on the belly most of the times.
yeah.
Going the eye level of the bird gives you that background or the
Yeah.
complete sharpness on the bird. So it was killing a dove. It tried
Oh.
for more than half an hour to swallow it, and later it realized that it's too big for it, and then
Oh,
dropped it and flew away. On the
Uh,
same day I shot the previous word, I got this shot as well. I mean, uh, I was waiting for this action, the little grab. Same guy, the Egyptian goose, um, landing into the water. This is a very dear shot for me. Pretty difficult subject to capture in flight. Very speed, very fast flyer through the air. You cannot really predict when it would take off. Yeah, and the little ring flower. This particular shot of little ring flower is a I mean, a close one to my heart.
great.
Again, lying flat on the belly is the key here as well. You can see both the eyes are in focus here.
mm,
That's amazing. And the water drops.
Yeah, yeah. This is again. So you have seen that the earlier picture of the same bird, which was emerging out of the water.
yeah.
After
Yeah.
emerging, it came up, flew above the water, few meters up, and then did this swirl, just to
Mm,
shake the water off. A common bird, the cattle egret, it was flying in from far distance and it tried landing right in front of me and realized that I was there and it balanced in mid-air and then took a different route.
Oh,
So it's that moment. So moving on to Indian roller.
mhm.
Indian
Um,
roller is Nisha's favorite bird in Dubai.
my favorite too. Um, uh, People normally don't choose to photograph them because it's quite a common bird. You can see
Yeah.
them everywhere, but also it comes with a lot of difficulty to freeze them in flight. So we happened to find a farm somewhere in Ras Al Khaimah where we were predominantly shooting on a different bird, and then we saw that this guy was on a particular day. So this farm definitely had a lot of sprinklers. So he was landing on the sprinkler,
Mm,
and in the lawn he was looking for the insects or the worms, and then fly down. So the flight is pretty short. The flight is only for 1 or 2 meters from the sprinkler to the down. The sprinkler also is only half a meter above the lawn surface. So this is right before the landing.
Wonderful.
This is after the landing, finishing the landing approach. There's a last flutter of the wing,
mm.
lying again flat on the ground. That's the toss. So that's the worm which it was aiming for, and then it tossed up. Another flying down approach. The freeze. So this is where the high frame per second can help you, because normally these kind of actions are difficult to freeze in lower frame per second cameras. Again, this is this. After this the wing was
Yeah.
going up, this is the very next frame. You can see the benefit of having the 30 frames in your camera, and the eye focus is intact.
Mm,
This is not an Indian roller, this is an European roller, clicked in Biguan in India during the last migration time. So it flew down from one of the wildlife boards, the notice boards, and then picked up a prey. I think probably a worm because it landed down into the grass. So I could not see what it was picking up. Tossed it, had it, and then flying back to the perch for identifying the or locating the next prey. So this is what it was doing. So it was flying down. I love this scene because of the purple flowers, the green backgrounds, and the blue. The contrast was quite amazing.
What are the shutter speed used for these kind of shots?
I predominantly stick with a shutter speed, higher shutter speed all the time, according to the light. Most of the time, my standard shutter speed is 3200.
Okay.
Engine roller again, another action going forward. So this is charging down on a prey, taking off. Beat as my another favorite subjects. Moving on, another difficult customer when it comes to focusing them in action
Yeah.
or freezing them in action. This particular frame is it was a quite a difficult one. So I'd been there for 7 8 days, uh, trying to capture Indian rollers and beaters in this particular farm. So this guy came flew straight from one of the sprinklers towards me. I realized that okay, he wasn't anymore interested in the prey that he was aiming at, and then he was taking a mid-air turn. So this is sort of his break. The wing which is coming up front was giving him that thrust to break.
Great.
Oh.
Wow.
So yeah, these were the ones which he was aiming for. Two of them in one frame, and the next frame, this is the magic of 30 frames. So you have
Yeah.
one more frame where it's going into the mouth. Caught the bee itself. The beater has caught a bee right in the ear, mid-air, and that's the next shot after catching it. This
Wow.
one again, I was lying flat on the ground, flew straight towards me. Probably would have realized that somebody is lying in front and then taking a mid-air turn. Loved the wingspan here. Again, another turn in the flight. There's quite a different frame altogether because you can't really tell how the wing how the wing originally is, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of swirled up. Another mid-air, it's catching the fly mid-air.
Oh.
So it caught, and this is the flight back towards the perch. So the perch is, I think, about a meter away. So it's starting the landing approach towards the perch.
Wow.
So they obviously had a fight between them for a prey, for a insect probably, and and it's very difficult to capture them when they are in fight because especially both of them to get both the birds in focus is a difficult negotiation. So I was lucky that day.
Great.
Blue-tailed bee-eater clicked in big one. uh, the purple background that you see is actually the meadow of flowers. So big one gets its meadow of flowers right after the rainy season. They get the flowers in some part of the big one grasslands. It's a photographer's paradise, for a bird photographer's paradise for the amazing backgrounds. Miss, you have been there, right?
Yeah. I want to go when it is this color.
Yeah, let's
When I
go.
went,
Let's go
it
once
was
again.
very dry, like yellowish color.
Yeah. I enjoy freezing the ice. Here you can see that the membrane on the eye also is visible.
So we have a question.
Yeah.
Being a Leo photo ambassador, do you use tripod for your action shots?
Yes, I use tripod for my action shots when I'm really flat on my belly on a muddy place, probably on the banks of a river or a sea, where there is a potential harm of water going into the gear. So then I would use the gimbal, or the tripod setup, which can really go flat on the
Mhm.
ground. So most of the time I don't use tripod when I'm capturing the actions.
Okay. And another question is what technique to follow with high zoom lens like 600 to catch and focus birds in flight, as it will be difficult to follow the birds in flight with a small angle of view.
I have listed down about 13 points here. Let's discuss that all in once.
Yeah,
I think
sure,
at
sure.
the end.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
So my approach towards freezing the actions of the
Okay.
birds
Yeah,
in details.
perfect. Yeah.
Another mid-air turn. It was coming towards the perch. I love the wingspan and the details on the bird. The toss. So this particular frame had brought me a lot of applause all around the world. Won several, competitions. So the first guy on the perch has come with the butterfly, and the second one came to. He was very curious to check what it was on its beak, and then immediately flew away as well. It didn't disturb it.
This was from Big One again.
Big one, yeah. So this is shot from Dubai, the blue-cheeked beat-up, one of the toughest birds I ever photographed. So I've been shooting them with my S7R4 in 2021. First, I saw them during the summer. So adding to the difficulties, the summer heat also is another problem. So what these guys would do is they would perch on a trees at the middle of the lake. So they have these small islands in Alkundra Lake, and around 9 a.m. these the dragonflies would start flying above the water, like just above the water. So that's the time they would come swoop in, coming in difficult angles and at a supersonic speed, and then swoop this dragonflies.
Hmm.
And ever since it was a dream to capture them in flight. So last 2 3 years, I've been constantly at them whenever they are here. So on really hot summer conditions, not only me, there have been fellow photographers Ajit and few others, Sajin and Winky and everybody else I think who have joined here. So this is a very special shot for me because it came straight into my lens, and then
Okay.
I could capture the complete details of the face.
Hmm.
So came straight again, and then decided to fly away. So that was that turn in the midair. Target locked. So that's what I was saying. The dragonflies would fly at that height.
Yeah.
The birds would come and swoop and go.
Where was this shot?
Alcudra.
Okay.
So occasionally they would hunt different kind of insects as well. So
Hmm.
two frames showing the actions here. Same from Alcudra.
Right.
Another pickup shot, two in one. There are two dragonflies picked at the same time,
Wow.
right above the water level. Occasionally they would do the bath, and this one is emerging out of the water after the bath. And then it did this. So it
Wow.
also had swirled up. Again, shot in Alcudra. So this guy is charging down on a bee midair. Let's move on to some raptors. Shot in big one again, the Palide Harrier female. It was trying to lift off from the ground after finishing up a prey. Sooty falcon. Uh, as far as I know, one of the few shots of the sooty falcon of the Oman coast in flight, because to shoot them you got to climb up a small mountain,
Okay.
and then predominantly these guys would fly pretty far away. So you got to approach them really quiet. They have very good eyes, and they come from Madagascar to this particular island, and they lay their eggs, and they don't sit on them at all. They
Oh,
depend on the atmospheric heat, because they come here around May and leave around November. So during those hot summer month, they live on that island, pretty dry area, and yeah, they always fly around watching for other threats. The deserts, I mean, everybody's dream in Al Qudra.
Yeah, our favorite.
Yeah. Shot in Big One, the spotted owlet. And there is a quarry in Big One, a small alley of quarry, stone quarry. So there have been, I think, plenty of them. So one of them triggered, and then the bird came almost towards me and then took a turn.
wow.
Shot in Oman. So this guy was landing on a perch,
Little owl.
little owl.
Look at those eyes.
Yeah, yeah. Short-toed snake eagle
Oi.
fighting with a viper.
Oof. This is from.
Oman.
Wow.
You have that full picture, or is cropped as it is?
This is a full picture. I shot from pretty far distance, thanks to the 50 megapixel on my camera, so I could crop in.
No, I'm asking.
So
Do you have all the wings in your frame, or
yes, I have all the wings in my frame. I cropped it
okay, you just
for
cropped it?
for otherwise the snake wouldn't be visible.
Correct, correct.
The male pied harrier, shot at Big One. The female again, landing with a prey, which is a dragonfly. You can, if you closely look, you can see in the meadows of flowers.
Yeah.
Spotted owlet, again at Big One, flying towards me. Lowl at Al Qudra. Sooty falcon. So many people have asked me, did you, actually alter the background to give it a blue color? No, the answer is no. This Sooty falcon was flying over the deep blue Arabian Sea. So we were on top of this mountain that I've earlier spoken about, and then trying to locate the bird. And then we saw that, okay, one guy is coming from right and then going left, flying above the sea. And see, look at his eyes. He's looking straight at me. So he's watching me from the distance. Montagu Harrier from Big One again. This is one instance where I have challenged the limits of my camera. Shot after the sunset, we could only see the silhouette of the bird.
Oh.
So I just ranked up the ISO on my camera as much as possible. So I only had to go up to 6,400, and then reduce the shutter speed to 1,200, and then off you go. I got the shot.
Cool.
Indian eagle owl. Again, shot in Oman. Everybody's dream in Al Qudra as well. The osprey on a landing approach. Little owl again, shot in Oman. This, many of us has got this, including Venki, Glenn. So the little owl is taking the mid-air turn. So it looks like a ball.
Ball with eyes.
Yeah, and this guy is taking off towards the left. Move on to the kingfishers. I call them dearly Mantaganis. So yeah, so I went to Thrissur, the coal fields, chasing the kingfishers, and then fortunately they just had, the chicks came out of the nest, and then these are the two chicks fighting each other.
Okay.
There were four of them. They were perched on a very difficult perch where a lot of artificial, like nets and everything was there. But anyway, I got lucky with few frames from there.
Mhm.
This
Wow.
is the following year. I mean, that the first one was shot in 2021. Following year, 2022, I went to somewhere nearby Malappuram, Ponnani. I had a friend there, so he had to call me that. I mean, he knew that I was behind Kingfisher, so he told that, hey, I think you can get the shot. I mean, I actually was behind the diving shot of Kingfisher, but when I went in there, I realized that no, I wouldn't. It wouldn't be possible for me to click uh, the diving shots because of the
Yeah.
background and the water was really high. The level was high, so I couldn't really set up my gears inside in the water to do the dive shot. So this guy had he was actually perched on the perch, and then suddenly it heard a sound from the other side of. So I was the paddy field was in front, and I was shooting the kingfishers at the front side, and sitting on a road behind me was again the rest of the party field was there. So this guy heard the cry or the call from a fellow kingfisher. As you know, the kingfishers are pretty territorial, so
Yeah.
he went to check who that guy is. So he flew straight to me, took a slight deviation, flew above my head and gone. So this is one of the first shots. So it actually took off, went down, missed from my camera, came back again, and then camera immediately picked up the focus, and then this is the
Oh,
first shot. I tried my fair bit of dive shots. This is one that I could manage. So it is going towards the water. This is my favorite shot among all the kingfisher shots because this particular wing up position is pretty rare. I haven't seen anybody posted it online of this kind of wing
yeah.
position.
It looks like it is going to do a sudden break.
Yeah. It landed and then applying the full brake there by keeping the wings up. It realized that it would lose the balance and then it was applying the brake. So after the dive, a successful dive, coming back to the perch with the fish. Came with the fish and it realized that okay, he didn't want to eat here, so probably would have found some other
Mm.
location. So taking off from there. I loved the way both the eyes are focused here.
The green background is giving a beautiful contrast.
A surreal background, amazing lighting. Look at the eye, the membrane
Yeah.
on the eye here,
Yeah.
and the water droplets, and both the eyes are in
Yeah.
focus, and the texture on the bird.
Have you given these pictures for any awards?
Yes, I got selected in one of the awards. I mean, shortlisted. Yes,
Okay.
I'm pretty bad with submitting photos for awards. I need to really work on it.
You have a very good collection. That's why I asked.
Will
I
try.
love the
Okay.
perch.
Yeah. Thanks to my friend, he had spent over a couple of weeks to grow the mosses on this.
Wow.
Yeah. This is shot from Al Qudra. So the last year, the January,
Mhm.
and Kingfishers have migrated back. Yeah, this is the Oriental dwarf kingfisher shot in India in Panvel. So they feed on these kind of rodents.
Mm.
Shot in Nilyampadi during the rain, low
That's
shutter speed.
amazing.
Love the frame for the water droplets.
Yeah.
So I also try some creative crops whenever possible. So especially when I'm pretty close to the subject and I could, and the enter word is not in the frame. So then I try to crop the way, as I call them creative crops. So I focus on the eyes. So all these shots, the eyes are in focus. This was through the foliage. The great hornbill was
Yeah.
Mm.
flying away. Yeah. Going ahead, parrots and parakeets. So all these, 95% of these images are shot in India.
Okay.
This is vernal hanging parrot, a very difficult parrot to shoot in flight. So what I did, so this was in a millet farm in Pune. So the guy was growing millet only for the photographers. So, and there are several farms with millets in that particular area, but he his was the only farm these birds would come to have. So morning and evening they have 3-4 hours of time where they come and have these millets. So carrying a big lens, so if you're shooting handheld, it was pretty difficult for focusing them or to predict their flight basically. And then this is where the observing the bird behavior come into play. So I realized that, so when the millet is actually grown and ready, ripe, they
Mm.
spend a lot of time on that particular millet, eat a majority of it, and then fly away. You can't wait for that. You don't know when it will fly.
Okay.
You're, I mean, being a handle shooter, my hand will die. And so then I realized, so occasionally these guys would perch on the baby millets,
Mm.
and then immediately they realize, oh, this is not eatable, so I will have to fly to another perch. So I was predominantly focusing on those kind of millets. Okay, then I'm sure that they would land and then immediately fly away. So few flight shots, despite the fact that it was raining and low light, I could manage.
Okay.
Wow.
Shot in Kerala again, one of my favorite birds to photograph. This was shot in the paddy field. I was hiding behind a wall. So to get these kind of feather details, I had to be very close. The distance between me and the bird was hardly 10 meters.
Wow.
Almost like a full frame.
Yeah, this is a full frame. I
Okay.
think it is only 20% cropped.
Mm. Okay.
And then
Oh.
after picking up, it was flying straight to me. Shot in Al Qudra.
Yeah, we have now many parakeets in Al
Yes,
Qudra.
yes. Angel wings was the caption
Title.
that I've given. Yeah.
This is
Another shot of,
amazing.
yeah, it came straight to me.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a male and female vernal hanging parrot. So the moment the female flew, and I knew that there would be an interaction. So then I was ready. One of the cleanest shot in that series. So I
Mm.
actually had spent one full day shooting them in Kerala.
What is that red color on the wings? Is it hurt or
No, that's a male
color?
trait. Yeah.
Ah, okay.
So it picked up and then just lifting off. Just landed and plucking the millet. And the
Oh,
shot of anticipation, the result of anticipation here. Yeah, I tried my bit on common birds. So I tried to freeze them, try to find. So this is where the learning was happening predominantly, because I believe that you can click any birds. You don't have to go to. I mean, if you are a photographer, I mean, I'm not behind. Of course, I would love to click as many words as possible, but in case there is a situation where I cannot travel, I don't mind clicking the common birds, because
yeah.
every time you click them, you will get one or two frames which is different from the previous one.
Correct.
Wow.
Black-naped monarch, quite a difficult, very small bird, and swift flyers. So this time it was flying straight towards me.
Amazing lighting.
Yeah, the sun was setting, and so the race of this was shot in Karnala Bird Sanctuary. So predominantly it is covered in hills. So the setting sun had only a peephole. Rest of the forest was already in dark. Shot in Kerala again. Again, I'd seen that these guys hunting and tried a lot to focus them, but they were hunting pretty low, close to the paddy. So I was losing the focus. I was lucky in one instance. The common bird, babbler. So this is where I was telling, you can freeze any bird differently and create frames.
Yeah.
The hooper was, yeah, I mean, this is quite unreal, because you can't say which way the wing is
Yeah.
actually. It was taking off to side. That was, they were trying to mate. So the one of the freezes out of that. The bird picked up the worm and then flying back to its perch. A very difficult subject to keep in focus because of the dark
Colors.
feathers. Yeah, and also it was perched in the under the tree, which was pretty dark, shaded. So I went to Georgia, like everybody else, to see the landscape. I took the camera and I saw that these guys were flying across. Tried my bit. They were pretty fast, swift
Yeah.
flyers. But yeah, I got this frame.
Great.
Thank you. The sparrow clicked last week here in Alcudra.
Beautiful.
The bang mine again clicked in Ras Al Khaimah last week. This was shot in Maharashtra.
Wonderful.
Very, I mean, I just loved right after clicking it. So the bird was asking the question, "Are you real? Are you really coming towards me? Don't you think I can just catch you?" It was that kind of a moment. The bird was surprised to see the wasp coming pretty close to him. Shot in Kerala, so the bird was flying. So it was bringing the nesting material to the perch, to the nest. This is a very different freeze of the hoopoe. Been searching for this frame since a long time. I think Hermes, I have seen this phrase in your profile years back, pretty similar to it. Ever since I've
Yeah.
been searching this frame, I think probably you would have forgotten that it is there in your profile.
I was thinking about the same frame.
Yeah. So ever since I was searching for this frame, so I got lucky this year.
Oh,
Now Kudra's everybody's favorite. So
yeah.
this decided to took off, and I got few frames. Moving on to probably the final bit of action in backlight.
Wow.
Amazing.
Yeah, this is unreal. Everybody asked, did I change the background, or what is the technique, or did you, took the bird from somewhere and put in a black background? No. So it's the same condition. It was that hilly area where the sun was setting. Again, with 600, I wasn't able to focus because from the height to the bird, the distance was hardly 10 meters. I was only getting one wing in the frame, not the entire bird.
Mm.
Then I decided I would try my new 7200. So this is one shot that I've gotten in my 7200.
Beautiful.
One which is very close to my heart because the bird itself is a difficult one to capture in flight, which is the Egyptian nightjar. So
Lovely.
yeah, I the caption was that the warrior prince bowing down in front of the sun.
Great.
Again, yeah, beaters would give you all these kind of actions if you are ready. So what I was focusing on, most of the backlit shots that you see would not be having a lot of details in the frame, but I was trying to capture the details. So I think that is the difference that I bring into my frames, and that's my niche.
Cool.
Shot in Al Qudra, the lesser whistling duck flying across, but another common bird in flight.
Wow.
This one was, yes, again, a lot of people appreciated this image.
It's amazing.
Thank you. Beater again. The same mangrove forest during the sunrise.
Hmm.
Very low shutter speed. I think I've shot it at 640. Yeah, questions. I guess we have 15 minutes.
Don't worry much about the time. It's all about.
Okay,
I
we
would.
have a question for you. What metering was used in the first backlit image?
The first, always I would use the evaluative metering on my camera, because when it is mirrorless, unless it is a perched bird, you don't need anything other than evaluative metering. So in the DSLR, yes, the metering come into play in big time. But wherein in the mirrorless times, evaluative meter, the camera is intelligent enough to pick when the birds are in action. So you don't have to worry about the metering anymore like the previous times.
Okay. And you said you have a list of things that you want to share while
Yeah.
photographing birds in flight.
Yes, let me pull that notebook out. Yeah. So predominantly the bird behavior. So over the time period, I've learned that going and just shooting the bird would not help you to freeze the frames that you need. So I'm not very keen when I'm walking into a scene to shoot pretty straightforward, unless it's a one of a chance and everything. Yes, I would shoot, but my most of my focus would be in understanding the bird behavior, the light, predominantly the light. If the light
Mm.
is less, I won't bother shooting the actions, because simply you would go home and delete the frames. You won't get the images that you need, and the disappointment rate is high. So I would then try for some perched up shots and look for some details at low shutter speeds.
Okay.
um, and the background, of course, it's predominantly something that you need to look at to create, like the background, the backlit images. If you're shooting against the sun, you need to have a clean background or the dark background in the back. So if you have a lit up background, the image will not be as good as the dark background what you're producing. And always shoot in manual mode. So manual mode in the sense, I only would let my camera to set up the exposure dial. So I keep the exposure dial in auto, set everything else in manually. So I predominantly keep my aperture, the f-stop higher, So when I moved into the prime lens, so I'm shooting, if it is a small bird, say if it is a kingfisher, I would go to 5.6, and then if it is even bigger, 6.3 is the maximum. So knowing the sweet spot of your lens is very important. So each different lenses have a sweet spot. You should just Google and figure it out. You don't have to try even, because everything is available nowadays online.
Yeah.
So, and then stick with that particular f-stop. And metering, if it is mirrorless camera, I believe majority of the people nowadays have a mirrorless. So when you're shooting actions, put it in the evaluative metering and auto white balance. And when you're shooting um, the backlit images, rake up your white balance to the maximum possible, the highest Kelvin possible. And most importantly, anticipation. So you just anticipate for the moment. So you have your bazooka lens in your hand. How long
Yeah.
can you anticipate with it? So you gotta have better muscles. You need to build up your muscles to carry the lens. For that few more minutes extra, that would decide your game altogether. So
Yeah.
if you don't muscle up, if you're not willing to crawl, you won't get the image. So fundamentally, make sure that you are at the eye level of the subject, whether it is in flight or perched up. And always shoot handheld when you're trying to capture a bird's actions. The freedom that you get to move around, follow the bird, is much higher than shooting with any kind of gimbal or tripods. And always follow the bird. So majority of the photographers, ever since the auto tracking came into the scene, people depend on the auto tracking. What I've realized, that when you let the camera to track, it is not as effective as you following the bird. So
Yeah.
when a bird is flying, so you basically follow the bird, learn that. It will take a lot of time to practice that, but
Correct.
once you get it, you can really freeze it. So with that, you bring in the term the patience into the game. So
Yeah.
wait there, be there, be patient enough to follow the bird, and put the camera in the highest frame rates possible. So when you are trying to shoot the bird action, and then you need the details on the subject, three things comes into matter: the focus tracking,
Hmm.
second one will be the highest megapixel possible, and then the highest frame rate. So these three put together will give you that extra results. So people often say the man behind the camera is everything. Yes, but it's really important. But your chances of getting successful frames will increase with the right kind of gear when it comes to bird action photography.
Yeah.
And always buy the camera with bird eye focus, which works. I have seen certain cameras where um, it has a it has the bird eye focusing in theory, but it wouldn't actually work on the field. So make sure that before you buy the gear, it has the bird eye focus in the real world. And yeah, you always put the tracking sensitivity to the highest possible in your camera. So all put together, the I think learning the bird behavior is the first and foremost thing that you need to understand before if you want to freeze the bird with you know with details.
Yeah.
One second. I think, yeah. And visualization. So you visualize the frame, wait for it, try the next day if you haven't succeeded the previous day, and the days. So
Yeah.
we recently had an experience of shooting a particular bird in Alcutra. We spent days just for a particular frame. We didn't succeed this year, but we will go back next year and see. Right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
We have another question about
Uh,
ISO.
yeah. Auto
Uh,
ISO.
Never put out ISO. No. Auto ISO can kill your picture. Sometimes it may not pump in enough light, wherein you lose the details on the subject. I mean, in terms of the light.
Yeah.
So you always decide the ISO. It is difficult for a DSLR shooter when you put in when you decide to keep ISO by set the
Yeah.
ISO by
Yeah. Yeah.
yourself, because only after the trial you know that okay, whether it was successful or not.
Yeah.
But in the modern day mirrorless cameras, what you set in ISO is the thing that you see through the viewfinder, so it's easy. So I
Yeah.
think for DSLR
Yeah. For the
people,
DSLR, they still have to stick on to auto
auto
ISO
ISO, yes,
for the safer side.
yeah.
Yeah. And appreciate if we could share some editing tips for backgrounds. Chandra is asking.
Um, so the background editing, it kills the image altogether. I'm not saying I haven't tried it. Yes, I did. We all have tried, I believe, at some point of time to edit the background and get the oomph in the picture. But there are two issues with it. One, you will end up most probably depending upon this editing techniques rather than creating the right image in the field.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Second, how much ever you try to change the background, a good photographer can pick it up and label you as the guy who's editing it, so it's better not to go through that route. It is a time taking process to edit a picture. To me, you should have the 80% of the image created on the field and then do the 20% of the editing at home. So definitely you need editing, but stick with the lighting and color changing and
Stick with the
or color
technology
density. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
inside your camera.
Yeah.
I agree.
Nowadays, even if even if you take a good picture with your camera, people do say that it's a edited
Yeah.
background.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
all AI.
You know, a very interesting topic here. Basically, I and my friend, my friend Ajit had sent me a picture of the Burj Khalifa and the moon in the background. Both were in tack shop. So he asked me, "Is it a composite or the real image?" I said, "It's a composite, no brainer." That's all I knew, and it's photoshopped. And then he was very inquisitive. He went ahead, researched, and then figured out that there is actually a method to focus both these in one frame. It's called hyperfocal length. So if you calculate it correctly, you can focus everything in the vicinity of your frame tack sharp. So now
Yeah.
he's onto a project where using it in the wild, freezing action with hyperfocal and the subject. All the best
Yeah.
to him. We're all
I'm
supporting
fed
him.
up with that project because we cannot go out with him. He'll be sitting and doing all these experiments.
So the reason why I brought this up here is
Yeah.
because um, something that you cannot do or you believe, oh, it's impossible to do, hey, that's a composite, that should be a photoshopped image, basically comes when you don't know how that image is being created.
Correct.
So when you are a shooter with when you're trying to shoot the bird actions on a tripod, you will never be able to shoot certain actions. And then it's easy to not being there and shooting that and then putting it across that, oh, say that's an edited picture. So yeah, I learned that. So I stopped having that criticizing eye ever since I realized that there are technologies that can actually, or techniques that can actually produce such kind of images.
Yeah. Uh, if not using auto ISO, why not use aperture priority, especially in good light?
Aperture priority, I hate that mode in the camera. I never used it. That is good for mammal photos. You can use the aperture priority for mammal photos, no problem. The mammal is not going to move most part of the day, and even if it moves, since it is a bigger object focus, probably if you're lucky enough, the camera will give you the result. But here in the manual, you're making sure that you're telling the camera that, hey, this is what I need. You need to give me this shutter speed, you need to give me this ISO. The rest, I'm visualizing my image, this is how I want to create it. So you are basically not depending on the camera to produce the image. Rather, you're telling the camera, yes, I want these settings, give me the image.
Okay. Dr. Anand is saying today Nisha is saying only wow.
The images are so wonderful.
Do you recommend teleconverters?
Teleconverters with prime lens to an extent, yes. But still, my experience with teleconverters on a moving subject is very bad. So you get a lot of soft feathers on the subject, wherein so predominantly for bird actions, I don't recommend teleconverters. But if you're trying to shoot a burst up bird and you're looking only for the details, like Mr. Abdullah creates, so amazing details on the bird. So he uses teleconverters in the most effective manner. So yeah.
Ivana is asking how long does it take you to edit a photo and in what software?
I predominantly use Photoshop. Earlier I was using Lightroom, but everything that Lightroom has, plus a little bit more, is there in Photoshop. So I wanted one process flow. So what I do is I open my images in the Adobe Bridge and cull whatever I don't need, and then securely save wherever it is supposed to be, and then open the images from there to Camera Raw, edit the light colors, and then bring it into Photoshop. I have the plugins of Topaz Denoise AI, where I remove the extra noise from the image, and then in case there is a branch or something that I don't want in the image, I might remove it to just to bring that aesthetic appeal in the image. I mean, it's my work, and I decide what my viewers has to see. So sometimes if I want to remove something, I would remove. So it's pretty easy in Photoshop rather than doing it in Lightroom. And Lightroom also consumes a lot of internal memory, wherein Photoshop doesn't. So your computer will be up to speed almost all the time.
Okay. Any tips for DSLR users?
I hardly used DSLR. I had the DSLR for a year and a half, but mostly it was on the learning curve side. I think the two giants sitting in the screen, Hermes and Nisha, can help you guys. So why can't you guys?
See, basically, we were while shooting birds with DSLR, we were using aperture mode, and
I used
we
to keep it
used
in a bracket.
we used initially we were using manual ISO as well.
Yeah.
Then when we moved to higher end cameras, we know that when we know that it can support around 6400 plus ISO, so like D5 or D6, we started using auto ISO to make our life easy. And then this software called Topaz was introduced, that again made our life pretty much
Yeah.
easier. So noise was not at all an issue. You edit your picture and then take it to the Topaz denoise, you get a pretty good result. So yeah, it's not manipulating, but it helps to beautify your picture.
Yeah.
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 With nowadays, I think the main we both of us started with birds like Anoop, and our main area was pivot field.
Yeah.
Most of the birds, I was literally reliving those
I
days
know.
where we
I
were
was
going
thinking the
for
same.
shoot. Literally, if I'm not
Most of
talking
the
about the
frames that
Indian
Anoop
species, but
showed today were
yeah,
like, yeah, in those
exactly
days,
the
yeah,
same
we have
process.
seen that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't see that one. The one with the beautiful bird with the ring on its neck.
The ring-necked pheasant.
No, no, no. It's a. I, I forgot. We
Parakeet,
have so many from, but it's a rare one. We see it only in November to Feb, that
the
season.
migratory
I
bird,
forgot. It's not.
northern lapwing.
No, no. I forgot.
Okay.
Lapwing and be it you cannot imagine. We followed roller for 3 years.
And somebody got the best shot of the roller.
Yeah, my so far lifetime.
Yeah, so basically, coming back to DSLR, these are
Yeah,
the things that we used to take care of, like aperture mode and
shutter speed definitely, like, keep it. If the subject is smaller, then try to go it slightly on the higher side,
yeah,
because those are
try
more
to get minimum
unpredictable.
3200 shutter
Yeah,
speed is advisable.
yeah. Then aperture again depends completely on the lighting
Yeah,
condition. And ISO,
the
we keep a cap of, I usually keep it like 4,000, the maximum
yeah
5,000.
the introduction of mirrorless was something that is helping our life much easier, because
Yeah,
you
Yeah.
don't like you see what you click, what you see.
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, as Anoop said, ISO and all is pretty easy to control now.
Yeah.
And we have another question from Ivona. How many photos you are happy with when you come home after one visit? And are there days when you didn't manage to take a good photo that you would be happy with?
Several days. I think if you consider in totality, unsuccessful days are more than the successful ones.
Yeah.
But again, that urge to go back and try the next day is what it's all about, the photography, wildlife photography. Yeah. So I'm happy even if I have one frame worth cherishing or keeping in my keepers list.
See,
And which
every visit
weather?
is going to be a learning curve.
Yeah,
Every
Yeah.
visit, you will learn one or the other thing for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
which weather for you is the best?
Um, I think summer, because of the birds that are coming in summer are very difficult to capture. So I like the challenge. So I love to boast about the difficulties involved in capturing that bird sitting in the hot summer and all those things. Makes me. And when I tell this to my family and friends, they don't give a shit, but I'm happy.
And there is one more important thing during summer. You will
Yeah.
have less photographers around.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. And also
Yeah.
summer also gives you chances to travel to certain parts of the world where you can shoot some real good. I mean, I'm planning all those things for the next 2 years. So yeah.
Can you please explain the alterations in a bird's behavior when it initiates flight? Dipin
uh,
asked.
it's each bird has a different behavior. So we cannot classify or give a certain, okay, I mean, like, I don't
Yes.
know how to tell that. So it depends
See,
on the birds. Yeah,
I
different birds
think
have
if
different.
it is going to be something looking for a prey, or it's going to
Hmm.
hunt something, if you look at the eyes and the way they move their head, and most likely it's going to be in that direction
Yeah.
which it is going to fly.
Yeah.
And but yeah, it again differs.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of big birds like gray heron and all. Like if it is perched for a long time on a perch, and like if it's about to leave that
Attack.
perch, it poops actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is also an indication.
Greg, around fishing,
Yeah.
we have a saying in between the photographers that if you're planning to shoot or waiting for the gray heron to fish, before that you might die, because that is the time the gray heron would take to fish the bird, because it's like a saint. It would just stand there and then wait for. It's so much of laziness into that
Patience.
bird's behavior.
Yeah.
I mean, that bird's behavior, it doesn't go and attack the fish. It has to come towards him.
Yeah, I think the one bird which we used to follow a lot is Indian roller. So we
Yeah.
could really see the way the head moves, and that will be the direction we will be looking for landing.
Yeah.
Venki's asking, when are you traveling to Mara Trails?
Discussions are on. Well,
Discussions are on from last 1-2 years.
no, no,
Guys, do
the
it when I'm also there. I'm going to be there. I'm doing a workshop
no,
in
no,
July,
you are
so I
not.
should be there.
No, this particular trip, no, no females.
This is only men's
Yes,
trip.
men only trip.
You guys are doing so many men only stuffs. Okay, this is not fair.
Yeah. Anyway, we were actually planning for April, May, but it did not happen. So maybe September, October, we'll be planning a trip to Masai Mara.
Great.
Yeah,
And
most of my
there are,
plannings happen suddenly, so I might even surprise you. So let's see.
yeah, and there are a lot of people asking Anoop to join with him to learn from him. Yeah, so I just got a message on my WhatsApp
A bird
also
photography workshop by
asking
Anoop
when
in
Anoop
Mara.
is if Anoop is
Yeah,
doing a trip,
why
any
not?
trip. Yeah,
There
Definitely
are more
yes.
than 400 plus species of birds in Mara.
yeah,
Yeah,
we
yeah, I
have a
know, I
lot of
know.
photographers who just come only for birds.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hermes is currently planning a bird only. I think I will spend 10 days there, and then 4 days bird specifically for birds.
Yeah.
The 6 days we will wait for the lazy mammals to move.
Lazy mammals. You come and check it. Yeah. All right. So it was amazing and I
We
loved
have one
Anand.
more question.
Okay.
I don't know how to explain that, and I don't know how difficult Anoop will have. Which light will be best from which side?
I'm
Uh, okay,
sorry.
you make sure that, I mean, one rule I follow is one of the eyes of the birds has to be in light. So when you're capturing a bird, the focusing the bird's eyes predominantly very important. Most 90% of the case. Otherwise, the frame is not going to be appealing. So I always make sure that I have ample of light on the eye of the subject. So I would position myself having the sun in my back majority of the time, unless I'm shooting a backlit image. So I always make sure that sun is coming from back, and when the sun is almost over your head, stop shooting.
Yeah, olden time photographers used to tell that a life comes in a bird photo when you have the catchlight in the bird's eye.
Yeah.
So always try to get that catchlight in the bird's eye.
Yeah. Also, when the sun is directly up, most part of the bird will be in shade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Harsh shadows.
Yeah.
That's applicable in any subject.
Yeah.
So any other thing you want to discuss?
Any
Anoop?
suggestions for beginners?
Shoot as much as possible, and always try to visualize. Uh, See the frames wherever you go, and once you start having, that thing happening to you, that you're seeing frames everywhere you go, and everywhere you go you start, if you're a bird photographer, you are noticing the birds, and then you know that yes, that thing is going into your blood. Rest, you got to make sure that, be healthy so that you can crawl, you can carry lenses for a long time. Yeah, and then put in your efforts. Try to shoot almost every day, even if it is shooting from your backyard. You will always learn something or the other. Even, every single day when I'm out, like you said earlier, Nisha, every
Yeah.
single day I'm out, I'm learning something new. And photography is a very vast subject, such that every day you can learn something or the other. So shoot every single day and then do your mistakes. There is a saying that first 10,000 shutters that you press, you got to put it in the recycle bin.
Trash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So patience is the key.
Yeah.
And we have a very good friend called Reis Rahman. He's asking, he have made a hide in his home in
Yeah.
Vadagara. So he is
Mhm.
asking you, when are you coming to visit that?
The invitation is only for boys.
Every month I'm postponing this date.
Yeah.
The mainly because the job, the day job, where all the money is coming in,
Yeah.
it's demanding me to dedicate a lot of time in there. So I'm unable to spare the time outside that at this moment. So very soon, I hope I'll be out of that time pressure and then would be able to fly.
Good. And for your kind information, I'll be there in next 2 weeks. I'll be there as well. If you want, you can join.
Okay, you in race height, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. I might travel down as well. There are some plannings happening. I need,
Sure, sure.
yeah.
And yeah, Ivana is saying thanks a ton. It was amazing. I'll try to watch you more often. Really great job. Thank you.
Thank you, Avanam.
Uh,
Thanks to
yeah,
everybody who has joined, and thanks for all the questions. I haven't anticipated so much of questions and participation. I don't know how many of you have joined, but those who have joined, thank you so much, and thanks for having me on this platform. You too, you were the gurus, and Hermes is continuing it to be the guru.
Hermes is
I
an all-time guru.
Yeah, I continue to worship him. So,
Oh, there are a couple more questions.
oh,
okay.
okay,
Joshi is
that's
asking
okay.
what are the recommendations for low light photography who all are not using a prime lens?
Uh, Wait until you get the proper light.
Low light photography recommendation.
Uh, that's what I do. So,
Okay.
unless, okay, if it is a burst up bird and not into action, I'm not doing an action, you're not trying to capture a bird action, you can lower your shutter speed. So go as slow as nowadays. Most of the camera has a greater image
Yes.
stabilization in
Yeah.
the body, so it lets you go as slow as possible on the shutter side front. So when you bring down the shutter speed, that also allows a lot of light to come into the sensor, and so that you can use a relatively lower ISO range. And of course the f-stop has to be the lowest possible, so you get more light. So try to create like, okay, what Ajit is doing right now with the hyperfocal length. So try to create the frames rather than uh, looking at creating, freezing the actions, or getting the details out of the bird.
Yeah. And
i've
and of
seen
course,
I've seen some images coming from the Himachal where our dear friend Suleef had
yeah,
created an image
yeah.
where the bird was actually breathing the hot air coming out of the bird.
Mm,
Such images you can still produce with in low light, in with
yeah,
the not with the lower range lenses.
correct. And even if, as I said before, even if we have a little bit of grains in our pictures, these kind of softwares are very helpful to remove that. So it's better we utilize those opportunity. It's only like $70 or something, $90 or something like that. So don't worry about the noise thing. You can
Yeah, I
still
think
use,
it's
yeah,
all about whatever gear you have, you master it.
yeah,
That's the best
Absolutely,
way. I
absolutely.
started with Nikon D80 along with an 18200 Sigma lens and was doing bird photography for 1.5 years. So and bird in action. So it's not that it is not possible, but when you have an A1 or a D5 or a D6 along with a prime lens, that's going to make your life easy. What you can get with an A1 with a 600 you may not get the technical quality, but you can make images if you have that kind of dedication and if you're going to spend time on it.
Yeah,
So
well, the prime example here is one Ajit,
yeah,
our dear friend. So he is using an 90D with the Sigma 150-600. The kind of images he creates out of that combination is magnificent.
correct.
and yeah, eventually if you put a step by step action plan for yourself.
Yeah,
If your target is 600 along with an A1, you can first go for A1, then later on, it's all about how you put it in your head first. If you have it in your head, me and Hermes, in our journey, we know how many times we have visited this shop,
Don't
Alpha
remind
last.
me.
Yep, I think 3 years, every Saturday and Friday, we used to go there and ask them the cost of 600 I'm not kidding, for 3 years. and they used to laugh at us when they see it, whenever they see us and say that no, the prices haven't gone down. So it's about having that dream in your head and coming up with a plan. I'm sure if you really want to have it, you will come up with a plan at some point.
Yeah.
Good.
That's
I
it.
think
You
we
said
had
couple
a.
of questions. One more is there, or that was the last one?
That was the last one.
That was
Okay.
the last one, I think.
Yeah. We had a great session today. Thank you, Anoop. And uh, and we had a very good number of participants as well throughout the session, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And we'll be updating you guys with our next webinar. So Venki is saying thank you. Thank you, Venki, and thank you others.
You also have a Mara based exhibition, right? Planned. Why
Yeah.
can't you talk a bit about that?
Yes, we are having an exhibition coming up next month from May 19th to 21st. Almost 30 photographers are participating in that exhibition, and all the pictures are taken from Masai Mara, including like two of our friends from Mara is coming during that event. Philip and John will be here,
Oh,
so
that's
you guys
great.
can.
Both of them are going to be there.
Yes, so you guys can you will have a good session to interact with both of them, to know about Mara who have not been there. So from it's their land, so they can tell you more about their land and animals and what is happening there. We'll be having a session where both of them will be talking about Masai Mara. So yeah, we got some amazing collections of pictures also, around 30 to 35 pictures.
Wow.
Yes, so it will be happening in Mall of Emirates, the theater, which was called Duck. Now it's
Okay.
called the theater, and yeah, we invite all of you to be there for the opening. It's on May 19th. It's a Friday evening, 7 o'clock.
Making me jealous again and again and again.
Yes, we'll be doing it live. You can watch us from sitting in Canada.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to be there sometime soon. Let's see.
Petra is saying, amazing presentation. Thank you for creating the session. Inspiration to be a little better watching such a great photographer. That's amazing.
Thank you, Petra. Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you, everyone, for having me. And also to
Yes.
participation questions. Amazing. My first webinar online. And thank you.
Yeah. We
Great.
wish you all the best, and please do submit for some awards also, so that
Sure. Sure.
yeah,
I will consult to Guru. For everything, it's Hermes. Yeah.
I'm really looking forward for another session specifically on a particular species you guys are focusing on these days.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
next month or after a month.
Sure.
Nisha Race is saying if you show him snowy owl, he'll be happy to visit Canada as well.
A snowy owl, he need to wait for next year, Feb. Ask him to apply for. I'm asking all these guys to apply for a Canada visa so I can have some photography time over here.
Yeah,
Snowy
we
owl
have
Definitely.
and great gray owl. Those were my dreams. I somehow got into the first step last month.
a so we have a
Okay.
very inspiring message from Dipin. I have started wildlife photography when I visited your exhibition held at Abu Dhabi few years back.
Great.
Yeah, so that's all we intend to do, make people bring people more closer to nature.
Yeah.
That's the whole idea of Paws Trails. And yeah, let's wind up for the day.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank
So
you.
thank you again.
Thank you. Bye.
Have
Bye.
a
Bye.
good
Bye.
evening. Bye.